So obviously I'm not on the bike today, and any day not on the bike is a bad day. So I got ready this morning, and I was a little bit slow to get ready, and didn't quite make it out the door in time, so I had to drive. But I'm gonna get home, I'm gonna throw a bike on the trainer. Traffic's the worst. So I'm gonna get on the trainer and give it a little pedal since I didn't get out to ride today. So I'm gonna be riding this bike. It's pretty much like a no-name carbon frame. It's just got a little spray paint on it, but it's a pretty light bike. I think right now it's about 18 pounds with the way it sits, and that's with some pretty cheapo wheels. So that's pretty good. So I just gave it a run through, check, make sure the gears are working. And what I noticed was the front wheel was squeaking. And it was squeaking right here where this rubber part meets the hub. So all I did was pull the little rubber piece back and then just put a little bit of oil. You see the oil? I just use a little bit of mineral chain oil. What happens is it'll dry out and then it'll squeak as the rubber meets the metal. So it just takes a little bit of grease. Grease is probably a little bit better. I don't ride this bike much, so I just throw in a little bit of oil and it works pretty good. And also I made a video on how to remove your pedals, and I recommend greasing the threads on the pedals. And the reason why is this was my original crank from a long time ago, and I can't take the pedals off, so they're seized in here. This is a bike I've took to several bike shops. I even went to like an actual blacksmith welding shop, and they couldn't get it off, so they're goners. All right, let's get going. So as you can see, we're outside. So I got the bright idea just to throw the trainer out in the backyard. So it's a little bit muggy inside. We still have the heat on, so during the day it gets pretty warm now. So we're just gonna go throw it out here. I was gonna give it a hard effort, but tomorrow I think I want to go for a 50-mile ride and do and give it a pretty hard effort. So I think today I'm just gonna do a little bit of spinning. I did go to the gym and do a good workout, did squats and stuff, so I don't want to blow up my legs too bad for tomorrow and then be stuck out on the road. So I think we're just gonna give it a little pedal. Alright, I just gave it a quick 15-20 minute effort. I couldn't go much longer. The neighbor's dog was barking, more of a yap. Oh, that was so frustrating. But anyways, yeah, spending a little bit of time to work on your bike, even if you're throwing in a trainer, is really nice. putting the oil on the little rubber piece in the front and the back wheel. Definitely quiet it down. Front wheel you don't use on a trainer, but I'm going to try to ride this bike tomorrow. So we'll see how it goes. So in an earlier vlog, I said I would talk a little bit about the fenders that I have on, and I'm planning to take them off. So in Arizona, it doesn't really rain too much. So out of the entire year, it really only rains like 30 days, and not every rain is that substantial. But I more or less put them on as kind of an experiment. I've never really ridden with fenders, especially the add-on kind. So I wanted to give them a shot. And I have the fenders on front and rear. So to just talk about each one for a second. So my front fender, the bike's not really made to have fenders on it. So how I attached it was just put a little strip of inner tube all the way around, and then I zip tied it. And it's actually held on pretty good. I've got it pretty snug. And then on the top, I didn't want to buy a bolt, so again I just used a little zip tie. And I haven't had any problems with it shifting or even rubbing side to side. It's pretty stiff, so I'm pretty happy with it. But one thing I'm not happy with is that it added, a little bit of bulk. This is where the tire starts, and then this little metal rod here. So it's a little over an inch, so about 3 centimeters. And you can see how close the pedal is to the wheel. And that little extra space, I always get toe rub. So if I'm stopped at a light or trying to make a really sharp turn, if I don't have my pedals at the 6 and 12 position, I'll end up hitting the front wheel as I'm turning it to kind of balance my weight. So I've actually fallen. I haven't fallen, but I've almost fell a couple times. Gave me a good jolt. But so I'm not really too happy about that. So if I did live in a rainy area or someplace where there was a lot of moisture, I would definitely keep these fenders on. I think just over time I would get used to it, making sure my feet are at the 6 and 12 position, and then just overall I probably would have better balance. With the back fender, I actually had a little bit more difficult of a time. So on both sides, these little Allens, after about a week of riding, they started to come loose. So there's Allens on both sides of the axle, and then one just behind the crank. And all 3 of them came loose over time, about a week. So I had to put a little thread locker, and they haven't budged since. So that was a little note to self. And in the back, so when that happened, the little stay here came loose, and I was getting some rubbing. But I noticed it pretty quick and was able to tighten it up. Other than that, I don't have a problem with the rear fender. It hasn't gotten in the way of anything. Even taking the bag on and off hasn't really interfered with that. So if I did live in a wet climate where it did rain a lot, I'd probably keep the fenders on. But since I don't really need them, it just adds weight, maybe a little bit of resistance as the air gets caught in between the fender and the tire. But right now it's just not needed. I look at the forecast, and if it's going to rain the next day, I just won't ride. I'll drive to work and then either get on a trainer, or I'll make one of the how-to videos instead, just to keep a video going every day. So for me, they're not quite going to work out. But if I end up having another bike, I might throw them on just to have a grocery getter. So let's take those bad boys off. going to do it for today. I'm getting hungry, so it's time for dinner. Hope you enjoyed the ride, and be safe.